Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's been a while since we did one of these, but I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to have a lot of fun because, as been requested, we're going to return to our wonderful, wonderful series of Let's Write a Manga. But I have an idea. I have an idea for this one. And I'll wait for for more people to manage to join the stream if they would like. So let's see. Let's see. Okay, okay. Wait for everyone to come in. So hello everyone. Hello everyone. And it's been a while since we did a first edition stream, and it's been a while, even longer, since we tackled Let's Write a Manga, and it was a really interesting, fun little project. And I think it'll be interesting to continue it. And it was last time we went over it. It was we went over the 5-man band that we're going to have, the first story, the second story, how it's going to be a magical school, a magical school harem anime, apparently. And we had 5 characters: the main character, some other, the supporting characters being, I guess one of them was a cat girl from the Beast. She was a shaman, and then you had the Lancer, who is going to be more or less a normal sort of witch. She being the opposite of the main character, who has a dragon blood, evil devil dragon blood, and all sorts of things. All sorts of things. Here's what I wanted to do today. I wanted to go over a few things, some manga that I enjoyed. Well, not just what I enjoyed, but were actually legitimately good, and check out the beginnings, how they start their stories. Let's see here. Let's see here. Anyway, so welcome, 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 everyone. Let's see here. Flying Turret 208, the canon. Welcome, welcome. I'm a simple man. I live for this particular series to start with. I see it. I come barging through the door, demanding entertainment. Fantastic, fantastic. Genghis Khan, late? Yeah, a little bit, but absence makes the heart grow fonder and all that. So welcome, welcome. Let's see, Angel of that Sword. Good evening, Jan. Well, good evening, Angels of that Sword. Good evening, good evening. Let's see here. The Board Enthusiast. I wanted the series to come back. Well, wish granted. Wish granted. And I have some plans for today, but I'm going to announce them after towards the end of the stream. I'll announce them towards the end of the stream and see if anyone is interested in participating. Because of course it's not a school. It's not. I can't give you homework or anything like that. But it's going to be audience participation outside of the stream if you want to. If you want to, okay. If you are interested, okay. Only if you are interested, okay. No obligations here. If no one participates, that's fine. It's absolutely fine. Well, we can continue on. The show will always go on, chat. The show will always go on. It's like our hearts. It's like our hearts. Let's see here. Flying 028. Here's the sheet I made with basic information. Fantastic, fantastic. And we will be continuing with it, chat. We will be continuing with it. But today, we'll be continuing with kind of the going over the infrastructure and how these writers tend to start manga, how the introduction is usually handled, and how the formula of Kishoten and Teketsu works. As a reminder, just in case you forgot, because it's been a while. It's been a while. Let's see here. Genghis Khan, Doc Alpha manga version win. Well, we can see about that. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting. Might get with Raging Golden Eagle. So tell me, so you can tell me what artist he used for his manga. It's always possible. Anything's possible. Anything's possible these days. Let's see. BAP2, hail all, hail BAP2. Hello, welcome to the chat. Let's see here. So let me pull this up real quick. Let's see here. So we got everything in order. Everything seems to be functioning fine, at least for right now. We don't need to function completely. I just need for these things to function as far as the beginning of these stories goes. So let's see here. Get rid of this. Fantastic. Okay. And so we have plenty of stuff to go over today. If you're wanting to go back to the first edition channel, welcome back to the first edition channel. I am your humble host, Literature Devil, and let's go ahead and begin. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? And we're back with the first edition. I once again am your humble host, the Literature Devil, and we will be going along with our fantastic series. That's right, the manga. And like I said before the intro, just a few seconds ago, I have something interesting at the end of the some interesting something you can participate in at the end of the stream, which is why it's important that this stream be dedicated to actually going over the infrastructure of how you usually one of these mangas or animes is the story and plot, and how they usually plan these things out. So this is a little taste, at the very least, a little taste, and we'll see how it goes from there. Let's see how it goes from there. Esti Ravana is the literature actually Dio Brando in disguise? Who knows? I can neither confirm nor deny. Let's see here. Hmm. And here we go. We get this up here, so we can go over the basics first. A little refresher of the basics. Keisho Tenketsu. Keisho Tenketsu, you didn't know if you've forgotten, which you might have, is the usual formula that runs around, usually used in places like China, Japan, and I also believe Korea. I believe Korea also they use it. They use this formula there too. But here's a simple rundown. Kisho Tenketsu can be used. It's usually used in stories, but it can also be used in essays if you wanted to. So introduction is the key. Key introduction introduces the characters, the era, and other important information to for understanding the setting of the story. Basically, it's basically your basic usual beginning of a story. So you want to add in. It follows the rule of you adding in all the things that the reader needs to know as early as possible or at the very beginning. So alluding to the things that need to be alluded to that are important. So you won't have an instance of right in the middle of your story some new development occurs and some new villain steps out of nowhere, out of literally nowhere, because the plot demanded it or something. No, that's considered cheating. Okay, so Kisho Tenketsu has you do everything in the beginning in the introduction, and then it goes into development. It goes into development, which is allows follows leads toward the twist in the story. Major changes do not occur. So, development major changes they aren't supposed to occur. What is supposed to occur is your basic introduction, your fleshing out of the elements you introduced in your introduction. And so this is why it's always so thrilling and always so interesting, and what kind of compels people to watch anime and read manga, is because it's heading towards something. Okay, so the thing is, uh, it has like it's kind of like a thriller feel when you go into when you use the Kishin Kentetsu style, because it starts you off right from the get go. The story begins immediately, and then this progresses and progresses and progresses until we get to the major twist, and then the major twist is kind of like your climax, and then you go into the conclusion. So introduction, you introduce your characters, your setting, all the things that your audience, your reader needs to know, and then your development kind of fleshes those things out. Is usually the explanatory, the exposition part of the manga. So for example, you would have maybe a wizard step onto the scene, and you immediately see that the wizard is setting in a realm of fantasy, so it's no sci-fi, just standard wizard stuff. And then you see your wizard cast a spell, and depending on how the rules of magic work, your wizard will recite an incantation or do a Last Airbender style form or something, and then cast a spell against maybe some orcs or something. And that's usually how that part works. So you immediately get a taste of what's going on, and then in development, usually your development follows. This is why so many Japanese works start with in medias res. They're really good at it, and Kisho Tenketsu allows you, more or less, encourages you even to begin your story in medias res, which is in the middle of things. And it's usually I advise against that when you're writing in the Western style, but Kisho Tenketsu really allows you to utilize in medias res correctly, which is why it's so often used in Japan mostly. Mostly. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. And so what happens after the introduction is your development, which basically is kind of like us watching your wizard cast a spell and defeat a group of orcs. and you get to introduce the rest of the party. Maybe the wizard was by himself, and his friends catch up, or you can have the wizard uh, defeat the group of orcs, and then a big powerful orc comes in, and the wizard needs help because he already cast all of his spells or something, and then you can introduce the best friend or the muscle, and then you can introduce the other characters, and we get to see all their powers right from the get go. That's the introduction. And then development is nothing really big happens. We just get more of the world. So after they defeat the uh the orcs or something, they you have maybe one of the characters run around and collect the ears or the teeth or whatever it is, and they explain that we killed these orcs because we were sent here by a quest. We're about to turn these ears or teeth in for a reward, and then we get to go with them. Say so we develop that they're not just travelers. There's actually a system in this world where heroes go out and kill these orcs for a reward, hinting that this is like a Dungeons and Dragons sort of feel or an MMO sort of feel. And there you have it. And then we go to usually from there we go to a city, and in the city they would explain things. Maybe there'll be a voiceover, a narration, or somebody won't know the rules of the city, and someone else will have to explain it. And you have a character who knows nothing. Usually it's the main character who really knows nothing to do. Is too obsessed with their typical obsessions to really know anything about the world. And they'll call him a what was it? They call him a baka and hit him over the head. And then they'll say, "Don't you know anything?" That's the usual line, I think. And they'll start explaining things. And then usually we get the development of who rules the city, what how the command structure is of the city, how the all the nobles are in the city, and all that good stuff. All that good stuff. So and then after everything's been set up, so usually during the development, we'll have maybe they'll develop one of the part of the development is introducing how nobles work and how what kind of power nobles have, and then we'll introduce several nobles like the king or the top noble who maybe the people who rule, and then one of those nobles will probably be the bad guy for the episode. Because they're supposed to be introduced early, so you can still give developments in your development section, which you give the Kishoten Niketsu. This is the show part of it. So what you do is that's when your villain might be introduced, and then the twist is revealing which one of those nobles or whatever was the villain, and how not really the guy you set up in the first place. It's probably some other guy, but it still has to make sense. So that would lead us to after you're done with the development section, it leads us to the twist, which is 10, and it's the Kisho 10, and this is where you have your twist. The story turns toward an unexpected development. This is the crux of the story, the Yama, or climax. In case of several turns, the narrative, this is the biggest one. So you can have several twists along, like in your development, but it's not going to be a major change. You might have some revelation or something like that, but the twist is going to be a major game changing one. That's what the twist is. The 10, the twist, is a twist of all twists, the king of all kings of twists. So you can have a twist that says maybe your main character is an orphan or is keeping a secret, or maybe in the development one of the characters that's a friend of the main character is actually working for the evil noble. That is a twist for sure, but it's not the twist. It's not the big twist. Okay, so the big twist in this hypothetical scenario would be revealing who the actual bad guy is of the episode, and then of course the conclusion would be them trying to defeat the noble, and the end of the episode will end with them celebrating the victory. That's usually how it goes. Yeah, as a self-contained novel, a self-contained little story written in the Kishu Kentetsu style. Let's see here. So we're going over exposition, the board enthusiast. Yes, a little bit, a little bit. Basically, we're going to go over the introduction and development sections for this little experiment. If you want to participate again, so I mean, again, this is totally voluntary, but I will reveal it at the end. But you probably can guess what it is. The board enthusiast. What kind of kind of like a pilot? Yeah, sort of. Yeah, yeah. We're actually going to get a little hands-on this one. We've developed a lot of things over the course of Let's Order Manga, but this time we're going to be a little hands-on, and which is why I wanted to go over the structure, the actual structure, so that everyone can understand it correctly, or at least have a little grasp of it, a little taste of it. Let's see here. Flying to rate the canon, a priestess human who is a prankster. Oh yes, that's right. With urge to do good, do bad, hate main characters, and is the heart. Yeah, I remember that. I remember that now. Was interesting things when we went over the characters. Interesting things. As to Nirvana, a good example of how to use Kisho Shinketsu is the first episode, in my opinion, in Goblin Slayer. Well, strangely enough, very good point there. You'll see soon. You'll soon see why I say that. Uh, Genghis Khan, make sure to include the big, big love interest. I think it's a Lancer. I forgot who love interest was in this scenario, but I think it might be the Lancer, who is like the opposite of course, has to be the opposite of the main character. So in this version, the main character is a sorcerer, while everyone else is kind of well, the Lancer is more of a wizard, one who has to study for their skills. The main character is just a natural at magic, thanks to the demonic dragon bloodline running through their veins, and that's essentially what we came up with. And that's why the Lancer hates the main character at first, because out of jealousy, and because sorcerers are usually seen as kind of bad in this world, mainly because of uh, of the implications behind their power source. Finding 028, the canon, finally the smart fox girl, enchantress, who is a bit of a cuckoo pervert that runs the librarian. Oh, that's right. She's a very introvert. She's a very introverted character, but she's secretly perverted. I don't know. I don't know why we came up with that. That's how it ended up. As the main character's best friend. Let's see here. Thank you to Flying 028. I will be referencing your notes towards the end here. Hopefully, we don't forget it. Let's see here. Blank, have you ever seen Konosuba or the Rising of the Shield Hero? Rising of the Shield Hero is on my list. Konosuba, I have heard about, only heard about. I've heard from Mr. Mediker that he has been told that it is the Citizen Kane of anime, and then Smudboy told me that it is actually the Citizen Kane of isekai anime. So I'm not really sure how good it is. I'm not really a huge fan of isekai. Smudboy is a big fan of isekai. I, however, am not really in particularly a fan of isekai, but I don't hate the genre. I only like maybe specific kinds. It's an Angel of the Sword. I believe it would be refreshing if our main character was extremely competent user of tools in some form. Uh, he could be the only main character without powers. I think Batman or Punisher. Let's try. We can certainly have a main character that does that because of the. I think we might actually. I forgot. Let me see here. Trey Davis, where's the hot fan service? Just a question and not a joke. Not a. Well, considering how this apparently landed as a harem anime, I'm pretty sure there's going to be plenty of fan service. uh, Flying 228, you skipped over my first message in the chain of messages. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. Okay, here's the beginning of the. Okay, so here's a reminder. Thank you very much, Flying 228. The cast is Demon Dragon Guy with a fallen family. His goal is to return its honor. His family made a deal with at some point. That's right. The main character essentially made a deal with a demon dragon at some point, and I think news kind of got out about that, and the family was kind of cursed from then on, and they were kind of outcast. They were a fallen noble house, and then we have the priestess human, who is a prankster with an urge to do good, do bad, hate main character, and is the heart. Exactly. So I remember correctly, the human priestess in this scenario was a former thief, and basically a former thief and pickpocket that was either forced or decided to retire to the priesthood, and a kind of like a reconciliation of her sins. I forgot whether or not she was forced there, though. I think she might have chosen to, or she was forced there. Maybe she got caught. I think she got caught and then was forced to go into the priesthood or go to jail, and she chose the priesthood. She learned some good things. She learned some good things. Let's see here. Witch is the Lancer with daddy issues and basically an attention-seeking Hermione. Yeah. She's really obsessed with learning new things so that she can get more attention and adoration from her fellow students. Fighting 2028, the big guy is a shaman cat girl from the Beastlands that every evil action turns good, also a prankster. Oh yeah, that's right. She's supposed to be actually trying to kind of malicious and almost evil, but she's really bad at it, which is why she had to transfer to that school from her Beastland shaman school because she's really bad at being a shaman. So every time she tries to do an evil act, an evil prankster act, it turns good instead. Let's see here. Esti Ravana, the anime starts with your traditional adventurer group, but they're actually a red herring that serves to how dangerous the goblins are. Yeah, yeah. Uh, that's one of the stories I think I've chosen. So don't worry, I've chosen some examples we can go over so we can actually see the Kisho Tenketsu style at work. And finally, the smart fox girl enchantress who's a bit of a cuckoo pervert that runs the library and the main character's best friend. I think we made the fox girl the childhood friend, if I remember correctly, because there's always that childhood friend amongst the harem girls. So we have to have that. You have to have the. I mean, it's either the cousin or the sister or the best childhood friend. So I don't think you can have both, but you have to have one of those. I think the best childhood friend is a lot better than let's go skipping right into incest. So I think she's the best childhood friend. Let's see here. Blank, Barrett Konosuba. I have not seen either of those yet, but the Rise of the Shield Hero is on my list currently. It still is. I was going to watch it right after Goblin Slayer, but I forgot to do that. War Enthusiast, nothing good with surprises. This is torture. I think you'll like it. I think you'll like it. Again, if you don't have to, if you don't have to participate in anything you don't want to. But I think you'll like it though. I think you'll like it. Let's see here. And Flying 228 took some simple notes. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Flying Turret. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Angel the Sword of a Lancer were a sorcerer of some kind. They would feel insulted that the powerless main character possesses the competence to equal their strength. That's basically the dynamic we have, because the main character starts off as powerless, and then usually typical anime, typical anime. They start off as the bottom rung, and then they kind of tap into a hidden power. Kind of tap into a hidden power. And that's essentially what the setup is going to be for this one. That's essentially the consolidated consensus here is that the main character is terrible at school, terrible at magic, but there something happens at school. Some development occurs, and they find out that they have this hidden power within them. Although it's mysterious of where it comes from, they don't know exactly where it comes from. It makes them into a sorcerer, which is rare. Usually, people have to study magic. Our main character can just tap into magic at will without having to study it. And that's why the witch hates her. That's why the lancer hates the main character, because the lancer was really good at magic because she studied all the time, and then all of a sudden this person comes in and equals her power for no without the cost she paid, at the time and effort it took to get to her level. And this is why they hate her. Also, I think it's classism is in there because she's a noble family. She's from a noble family, and the main character is from a fallen noble family. Genghis Khan's Smut Boy and Isekai simp. I guess you could put it that way. I don't know. Uh, I just know he likes Isekai. Esi Ravana, Literature Devil, what do you think of the four derivatives that ate, so common in anime and manga? Oh, the yandere and I don't know all four of them. Okay, I just know two of them. I just know yandere and tsundere. I didn't know there were four. I thought there were just I thought there were just two. But I mean, they tend to work pretty good. Tend to work pretty well, I think. Because one thing the anime and manga are really good at is drama. It's pumping up that drama, which I think it's why they really know how to do effective drama, even if it's over the top and exaggerated. They really know how to do compelling drama that we just eat up. I think it's why it's become so popular here in the West, because we kind of forgotten how to do good drama. We just know how to virtue signal. The board enthusiast. Did we agree the main character would be top of the bottom social ladder? I think that if I remember what I remember, that the main character used to be on top. The main character comes from a family that used to be a noble family, and then they made a deal with a dragon with the demon blood and everything, and they fell from grace. I think they still have some sort of influence, but they kind of fallen from grace. And the main character is really determined to do well at this school for the sake of restoring the family honor. Let's see here. Trey Davis, why is every shonen protagonist super talented? I don't know. It's just this. This is the way things go. I mean, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're the bottom of the rung of the ladder, and then they just have this this hidden power inside, like a Naruto. They just happen to be some sort of prodigy. Let's see here. I think Goku started off that way too, technically speaking. Angel of Sword. We're continuing a previous story. My mistake. Yeah, this is a we. It was a long time ago we started this. It's just that we're just now getting back to it. Let's see here. Flying 208, the canon, the closest to powerless angel of the sword is the shaman catgirl who was ton of self buff spells. Pretty much, pretty much. Board enthusiasts, don't forget to thumbs up the stream channel. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Because these streams stay up. These streams stay public, so you don't have to worry about it about this these streams coming down. Let's see here. Flying 228 sees small teenage girl who chants something and becomes swole. Time to go. I think that would be the shaman all over the place. Bab 2, there are a few mangas that the MC is only able to use tools or items to the max effect, otherwise no abilities or powers. There are a few of them. I tend to like those characters better, but we wanted to make this as anime as possible, so and we did. We did. Let's see here. Let's see here. I find 228. I forgot the outer cast. Was there an outer cast? I forgot. I see. A crazy librarian with tons of knowledge and exposition that only the main character listens to. The big villain is a baker with enchanted pastries. That sounds really anime. So that's a good one. Let's see here. Uh, I think that the second I think that second might have been my idea at the time that we didn't run. Could be. Could be. Piers is cautious hero on your watch list. I never heard of that one actually. Actually, no wait, never mind. Smudboy actually introduced me to that one, so it's not on my watch list, but it is on my read list. Okay, we're back. We're back, chat. We're back. That's it. That's it. We're back. We're back. I know. Everyone. I know everyone left. We can. Ooh, it always happens. The internet just won't let me stream. Chat. It won't let me stream. I think too many people are on it. I think too many people are on it or something. The internet just won't let me stream. It just won't let me stream. I don't know why. Every single time. But I'm getting it. I'm hope with my Trump bucks. Hopefully I'm going to get a new computer soon. One that doesn't have this impossibly invincible locking up problem. Because I've done everything in my power to quit this lock to stop this locking up this problem of locking the computer locking up for about 10 minutes or so. Uh, I've gone from restarting it, reformatting, resetting it to factory settings, just getting rid of all the programs, going through all sorts of virus exterminators, all that stuff. Nothing has helped. It's always comes back to freezing up. So uh, hopefully we should be good for the rest of this. Let's see here. But I'm back, chat. I'm back. We've gone from 20 viewers to 5, but that's that's okay. The my computer does not want me to give a stream. It does not want me to stream anymore, chat. It's saying stop it. It's saying stop it. But I'm back as long as I can be here. So we will continue. We will continue. Anyway, let me see here. Let me see here. We'll get this back up and running. Here we go. So, Kisho Tenketsu. I forgot where I was, but essentially, we're going to go along with introduction as where you uh, develop everything, is where you introduce your main characters, usually the setting, and then your development stage is where you give us the exposition, further explanation of the world, the cities, the infrastructure, and not to mention that's where you really set up everything. That's the development part is where you really set up all the plot. Introduction is where you set up your characters and your setting. You're basically the skeleton of your story. The development is where you flesh it out a little bit. A twist is where after you're done with fleshing out, is the huge, gigantic development, the enormous development that occurs. So let's see here. BAP2. If it's Windows 10, it could be that it thinks you modded the hardware. It could be. It could be. It is Windows 10. I've heard that Windows 10. Other people have this problem, so I think it's a Windows 10 problem. But anyway, that so BAP2 that causes Windows 10 to lock up with brick. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. It's exactly what happens. BAP2. It just locks up. It's not an internet problem. It's a device problem that happens. At least that time, anyway. Let's see here. Let's see. Muggles Cake Sniffer. I would love to see Lit Devil review DV devs. What is that one? Never heard of that one. Trey Davis, are you selling this manga? It could be in the stars later on. We'll see what happens, though. See what happens. Let's see here. Anyway, so we're at Kisho Tenketsu. Basically, the twist is the biggest twist in the story. That's the climax. It's the revelation of who's behind the mask, essentially. So you can have all sorts of developments and twists that occur between development stage and the twist stage. But essentially, the twist stage is your biggest reveal. It was me the entire time. You know that biggest that huge development, and then after the twist occurs, is your characters kind of checking things out. It's fighting the bad guy, and the conclusion is them finally defeating the bad guy, more or less. More or less. Let's see here. Board enthusiast, glad you got enough internet gas to get it running again. Me too. Me too. Because usually when it happens, it starts up again, and then the internet goes out, and I have to wait for it to, I guess, re-find out what the internet is. So it's always frustrating. Always frustrating. But we persevere. We always persevere. Is he board enthusiast? Glad the vampire ninjas didn't get you. Not this time, chat. Not this time. Almost though. Almost. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. So, so yeah, the twist is you fighting the bad guys. You're basically the revelation of the bad guy is, if you want to put it simply, and the conclusion is your gang fighting the bad guy, and then more than likely winning, more than likely winning. So, having laid that out, let's continue then, chat, shall we? Let me see if I got this where it should be. Okay. Hopefully this doesn't take. Hopefully YouTube doesn't take us down. So, but I have a few examples here. A few examples here. Let's see here. Okay, got this. And this is Goblin Slayer. This is how Goblin Slayer begins in the manga. And it starts at medias res. If you want to count this, you can. If you don't, you don't have to, because this is basically this the colored pages. This happens later on in the manga. I think this is just the introduction that's colored. Let's see here. Board enthusiast, LD, did you see my announcement before the stream went kaput? I don't think so. I don't think so. Let's see here. Let me see if we can go back. Let's see here. I don't think so. Let's see here. Could you repeat it again? I think it might be too far up to for me to see anymore. It might have cut out. Anyway, so we can. This is the beginning where she meets Goblin Slayer after he saves her life in the Goblin Cave. But this is how it really starts. This is how it really starts. So this is your introduction. Let's see here. Hex Harper, glad I managed to make it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad you can make it also. Welcome. Let's see here. So this is the official introduction of the story, I believe. Let's see. And you start off with the Adventurers Guild. Again, your setting. You have some dialogue here that's not really pertaining to anything, not really narratively relevant, really. But you get the introduction here. So this is the Adventurers Guild, kind of where the main stories kind of revolve around, because it's this little this is where the hub of all the main stories come from. So you go get a quest, you get the quest, you go do the quest. Basically, is where Goblin Slayer gets his Goblin Slaying quests from. So you have this, you have introduced the guild and the setting, and the characters. What kind of a setting we have? You have the adventurers everywhere. Next in line, please. You have Guild Girl. So it's these 2 pages. They set up everything nicely. So you get your setting introduced, and then you have your main character, which is your priestess, the priestess, and then we go into the development stage, which is we can get some development here, or I guess you can still technically say that it's the introduction is over. I mean, the introduction is still going on, and we're still getting the everything else. Let's see. Board enthusiast, LD, I finally got my first paid animation job. I'm so happy I'm able to finally kickstart my career. Not even done with community college. Well, fantastic. Fantastic. Congratulations on that. Hope you do very well on that. Hope it succeeds and sparks your career. That'd be fantastic. Awesome. 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 Congratulations, board enthusiast. Hopefully that'll lead to bigger and greater things. I think it will. Let's see here. So, congratulations once again, and good luck. Good luck. Have all the luck in the world. Awesome. Always got to see when people succeed following their dream. That's awesome. Fantastic. Let's see. Okay, so I'd like to become the adventurer. So you get to see the priestess being introduced here, and then we get to I would personally consider this development, because then we get Guild Girl kind of explaining how things go in the world. This is where we get world development, and you get porcelain, obsidian, steel, which she explains the rankings of the guild and how it works, how it functions, what it's for, and you have adventurers. And she even explains adventurers, how things go in that section. And then we get to development continues when she meets this group of other fledgling adventurers. They're all porcelain level, which is the lowest level. And we get to see the other characters. This martial arts girl, the warrior guy, and the female wizard. And they all get together. And there's more development here about going after goblins, going after goblin slaying. And then Guild Girl says, "It's probably too much for you. Why don't you just go into the sewers?" And we get the explanation of the goblins, a quick rundown of the goblins and see how they are. So we have an explanation of here are the goblins. Goblins have the size and strength of intelligence of a human child. They see well in the dark, but individually they are the weakest type of monster. So they form packs, threatening people, attacking villages, kidnapping maidens, and so on. And then we get to see that it's not maybe they're not so bad. Any of these goblins are so really easy because this guy he drove away a goblin once from his village, and so they all decide to go. And here they are at the Goblin Cave, and it's still the development stage. They are developing the world around them. You get to see how you get a fleshing out of these other characters. You get to see the priestess, and you get to flesh out the fleshing out of these other characters, and you get you can see their personalities, their skills. You get to see that this girl is actually a martial artist, like I guess a monk class or something, martial arts class. He is ambitious. You can see how ambitious they are, want to achieve certain things, and before they go into the Goblin Cave, they're kind of downplaying the goblins more or less, and they're kind of predicting things for the future that one day we'll start slaying dragons, but for now we'll just do goblins, and they're setting things up like the priestess wanting to cast a spell and wanting to say that hey maybe we should prepare first, maybe we should give some preparation, kind of giving foreshadowing into what's going to happen. And saying that yeah maybe you should be prepared when you go out in the rest of your life in the wilderness. And then you have this little totem here, which is I think is a signifies that the leader of this little band is a goblin shaman. And but you get more personality, you get them because the wizard is kind of smug and standoffish. The warrior is kind of he's ambitious, he's that empty-headed protagonist. So he seems like he would be a usual run-of-the-mill protagonist for a shonen anime. And then you have the martial arts girl who is essentially she's more kind-hearted, but she's very fiery. He has that fiery personality, very tough, very I can defeat anyone personality. And we have priestess who is more or less that cautious type, the one who's actually using her head, very smart. And then the twist happens. You think that it's going to be a walk in the park. It thinks it's going to be just easy. This is the first mission. It's going to be easy. They're not going to have that much trouble. And if they do, it's not going to be too bad. It's not going to end up too badly for them. But they say that they're not going to run into anyone because they went on ahead, and there's only one path as far as they've seen. There's only one path so far, and there's no way that goblins can sneak up on them. And then the twist is goblins snuck up on them. And we continue, and and we go further and further into the twist. This one you get a little bit more development, but the twist is that the goblins are actually overwhelming them. It's not as easy as it was supposed to be. That's the big twist. And the goblins are smarter than you think they are. They're stronger than you think they are, and the numbers they can overwhelm you. So you get a little glimpse of her past to make it even more tragic. I think it's the only reason why he added it in here. Why he added in these characters' past and their ambitions to make what happens to them even more tragic. Let's see here. Okay. And they break the staff. She gets stabbed. This is where you know it's a twist, where this character that they've developed gets stabbed, and she's just crying out in pain. And this whole thing is the twist. This whole thing is the twist, where you get the development of these characters. They start losing. They start getting overwhelmed by goblins and destroyed. Every time they think they can overtake these goblins, something else happens. So even a further development, a larger goblin appears and stops the only person they have left who can fight. And well, actually, yeah, oops. But hope we don't get destroyed for that one. But let me see here. Take that one down a little bit. But we have what happens next. They get destroyed, and priestess is left on her own. Okay, we go back over here. I think we got enough time. There we go. Okay. So eventually, priestess ends up on her own, and they're honing in on her. This is where we reach our conclusion. When Goblin Slayer appears, we have reached the conclusion stage. We are past the twist. Now we've seen how dangerous these goblins are, and we can see them going after them. We can see how dangerous they are. We can see how dangerous it actually is for these adventurers. That's the big twist. Okay, the development was explaining everything. And see here, the sushi guy, Hail, Haley, not streaming into now. What is this? We're just going over the Kisho Tenketsu formula, going over how it works in in Goblin Slayer, different mangas, so we can lead up to the ending of all of this stream chat. So we can lead up to the ending, which I think people will enjoy. I think people will enjoy if you wish to participate. So anyway, so the twist was the introduction was introducing the priestess. Let's go over this again. The introduction was introducing the priestess, introducing the guild, and how everything works. Okay, how the heroes work, how the adventurers work, how quests kind of work in this world, and that's essentially it. So your development is kind of hopping it up. Everything seems really Disney-esque. Everything seems really saccharine, and that's your development. You get the development is how things work. That's the development part. That's where it begins. How things work. How the quests are given out or handed out. How adventuring ranks work, and development continues with the priestess meeting this little group of fellow fledgling adventurers, and how they kind of react to it. And it seems like it's going to be very, very saccharine, very, very easy, and that they're going to just maybe they might have a little trouble with these goblins, but ultimately they'll come out victorious. Now the twist comes in when the opposite of that happens, when they all get kind of slaughtered. We get to not only see that kind of Disney-esque appearance kind of shatter, but we also get to see what exactly happens in the adventuring field and how realistic it becomes, and more or less how things are going to work and how dangerous these goblins actually are. So that's a twist. The twist is them not actually winning, them not actually succeeding in their goals for life, them actually dying, and overall just losing everything. Except for the priestess, who manages to survive long enough for Goblin Slayer to appear. And then you have, let's see here. Once Goblin Slayer appears in this particular episode of Goblin Slayer, this particular story, this is when you start reaching your conclusion, because the twist has already occurred. Okay, the enemy has been revealed. The goblins are the true enemy, that the true antagonist of the story. So more or less, you've seen the twist that they're not so easy after all. They're actually really, really dangerous. And then once the Goblin Slayer appears, that's your conclusion begins. So he starts fighting the goblin that's threatening the priestess, kills the goblin, and saves the priestess. We get an introduction of Goblin Slayer and how he operates, how he works, and how brutal he is to the goblins. And he kind of talks with her, and we get to see that he's silver ranked. So we always know from the development stage of this story, as silver ranked means that he is the highest level of adventurer that you'll meet in the field. The only way to get above this is to do something really, really big, like slay a demon king or something. So, so he's Goblin Slayer. He says a silver tag, which means he's a silver rank adventurer, which means he's really, really skilled. He's a veteran. He knows exactly what he's doing. So we get to see the priestess and the Goblin Slayer take the fight back to these goblins, and our conclusion stage of the Shisho Kentetsu has officially begun. And we get to see that he's kind of mercy kills the wizard here, and essentially it. So they mercy kills the wizard, and they begin with their counterattack to the goblins. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this. So we're going to move to the end here. And a bunch of brutal stuff happens. They go in, they march in, and Goblin Slayer kind of explains to the priestess what they missed, how exactly they lost to the goblins. They kind of he tells them that the totem they saw at the beginning was kind of covering up a hole in the side of the cave that was hiding a goblin patrol. And the totem itself kind of signifies who is actually leading these this little band of goblins. So we go over here, and we could see him take down all these goblins, including the and he exemplifies how good he is at his job. Immediately, he doesn't think twice. He immediately goes, okay, what are your skills and abilities? Okay, here's what we do. He immediately forms a plan on how to attack these goblins because he's really good at it. He's like a savant. His one specialist strategy is killing goblins, so he knows exactly how that happens. Let's see here. The board enthusiast. So basically, show the weight of the challenge to show the audience the stakes. Yeah, exactly, right, exactly right on. That's why the Kisho Kentetsu style is really good at this because it's built. All of this is built into it. It's it it starts you off from the beginning, and if you follow the steps correctly, it'll lead you naturally right up to the twist, and then you have the conclusion. It leaves you. It basically it keeps you on narrative. It keeps you on point. That's why the structure is so effective. And also, it allows you to lead up, allows you to instill stakes in your story naturally because you need these things to happen for your Kisho Tenketsu style to kind of work. Because one of the biggest point is the twist, which requires stakes to work properly. Born enthusiast, steaks, exactly the best food, steaks. Angel of the Sword, indeed, yes. Angel of the Sword, subversion of expectations is welcome when it's necessary. This is one of those times when it is indeed necessary. It serves the function of raising the stakes or the actual main character. Exactly, it does. It does in Goblin Slayer. It absolutely does. So this is why you have such a big disconnect from the saccharine Disney-esque. We're going to go win, and we just have to. We're going to encounter our first quest. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have a lot of fun, and then the change comes in when your expectations are subverted, and the first crew dies immediately, all except for the main character, the priestess. So subversion of your expectations is kind of a supplemental and effective use of a narrative. It's a effective narrative element. It doesn't work if that's all you're doing, and that's the only thing you do is, oh, they weren't expecting it, therefore I'm going to do it. It doesn't work that way. Always try to exceed expectations rather than subvert them. But in this one, it works because Kisho Tenketsu really helps you along with that sort of thing. Let's see here. Board enthusiast, stakes, the essential element that keeps the audience and the readers in their seats and their attention virtually indestructible. Exactly. A Hex Harper, stakes, what no SJW story has. Exactly. That's true because having real stakes in your SJW movie would mean that things matter, and things can't matter in the mind of an SJW. It just can't. They don't like things to matter. They want things to be this joking all the time. Nothing really counts. The board enthusiast kind of reminds me of an episode of Yu Yu Hakusho that introduces Kuwabara as a character. His friend was in danger of losing his job if his group fights, and Kuwabara allows himself to be beaten up. Yeah, that's exactly why I think I like Kuwabara. One of the reasons I really like Yu Yu Hakusho as a show, because Kuwabara was treated as the antagonist for Yusuke. Treated as an antagonist for Yusuke, and as far as we saw, he was just the bully that Yusuke kind of faces, and then we got to see how noble Kuwabara is, and he's far nobler a person than I think Yusuke is. That he will allow himself to go under any indignity for a friend. And that's what kind of man Kuwabara is. See, the board enthusiast was also one of my most favorite episodes. Yeah, when you show character development like that, it's always interesting. It's always a good thing to do, and especially when you want your main character to be liked and respected, always show them the most noble of traits. And with Kuwabara, it is he was willing to do anything to help a friend. See, map 2, the one piece on the board that will not allow the gods to play their games of chance is Goblin Slayer. Exactly. He won't let them roll the dice. He won't let them roll the dice. Angel of the Sword, having stakes within an SJW story would imply that minorities and women cannot simply levitate flawlessly above all their problems. They can't have that. No, absolutely spot on. And they can't have actual problems because I don't think they've actually encountered actual problems, so it might be that might be a hindrance to them, chat, because I don't think they've actually encountered real problems in their lives. Anyway, so so the ending of this is I'm gonna go ahead and just to make sure that nothing else happens on screen. Go ahead and go past. But the ending of this is that Goblin Slayer and the priestess teams up. Goblin Slayer is able to utilize priestess's abilities without a second thought. He just really gets in there. He's able to formulate a plan, an effective plan that allows them to claim victory easily by the end of the day. By allowing to his own skills, his own knowledge of goblins, and along the way we get to learn how good he is at this, how knowledgeable he is at this, and we also get to learn how brutal Goblin Slayer is toward his quarry. So let's see here. This one in particular, we get to see that they encounter a little den of goblin babies, and Priestess says, well, "Can we just spare them because they're children?" And Goblin Slayer says, "No, no, we can't, because if we do, they'll just grow up to be goblins, and there's no good goblins." And he's like, maybe there's one good goblin. Maybe you find one if you look really hard, but he doesn't. It doesn't matter to him. He'll just keep killing them, and he kills all the baby goblins. And then we have the aftermath. Kind of the aftermath. We have the story of adventurers. This happens every day. Adventurers go out, they die. Those that don't die might surrender life, and just can go off and live out their days in another world or another place, like a monastery or a priesthood, because of the how traumatized they were. Let's see here. Born enthusiast. By the way, I got my brother addicted to Yu Yu Hakusho, and he hates anime. Well, Yu Yu Hakusho is amazing. So, good job, good job. Ex Harper, the only good goblin is a dead one. Pretty much that's pretty much his attitude. Pretty much his attitude. And see here, Brown Gaijin just finished with Nerdrotic. What's up? Welcome, Brown Gaijin. Welcome. Let's see here. Let's see. So, but the thing at the end of the day is, Priestess returns in the epilogue, and she says, "I would like to continue being an adventurer, please." And basically, she goes, "I did what you told me. I got some chainmail." Going into the fact that she is continuing her life as an adventurer, as opposed to the other martial arts girl who has given up, who you would think Priestess would follow into her footsteps of doing that, but she doesn't. She doesn't. And then the story ends with Goblin Slayer asking her if she's coming along, and she answering yes. I'm going to continue as an adventurer, at least for now. And so there you have it. A good little example of introduction, development, twist, and conclusion. The introduction being, introducing Priestess as your main character and the setting, the world setting. And then you have your development where Guild Girl kind of explains how things are going, how things work in that world. And then your development continues with the introduction of the adventuring group she goes with, he teams up with. And then the twist hits us when they have spent all this time downplaying goblins and explaining goblins to us and how they don't seem that bad. They're about as smart as children, about as strong as children too. However, when they go back to the goblin cave, the twist occurs when you've already been told that these goblins are not all that powerful, that they're actually the weakest of monsters, and that even the warrior himself, even though he's brand new, has encountered a goblin on his own and has driven it off from his village. And the twist occurs when the goblins overpower them and slaughter the group, and we realize how powerful, how dangerous these goblins actually are. And then the conclusion occurs when the Goblin Slayer appears, and they take the fight back to the goblins and eventually win. And Priestess continues her life as an adventurer. Let's see here. Okay, so Esther Yvonne, have you watched Psychopaths Literature Devil? I've started the one episode because no, not Psychopaths. I started the other one. What was it called? Mob Psycho. That's the one I started a long time ago. I heard Psychopaths was really interesting also, but no, I have not started yet. Let's see here. Angel of thy sword, saving one good goblin will mean the death of many. That's yeah, that's essentially true because all these goblins are terrible. There's terrible, terrible people. They're not even people. I mean, they're awful. Because there's one side story of Goblin Slayer. 'Cause I pretty much bought them all. There's one side story where they actually get to see what a goblin is thinking, and it's just that he's just jealous of the other goblins because he's been made to stand guard, while they all go out and plunder and everything. Let's see here. Board enthusiast. There is a fight. Then there is the fight of logic versus feelings. It seems to like a tense scene. Yeah. Now they hate scenes that actually have stakes in there. I mean, they really don't like it. They don't like it. They don't like violence at all. They want everything to be cuddly, and they want a safe space. They want a safe space in every single show they show. They want a nice, big, soft, safe space. The board enthusiast is there such thing as stakes being too high or too much stakes? Yeah, technically, if it doesn't match the narrative, so if the stakes are way too high, if it's like a gang, if it's like a gang story, about a street gang story, or a mob story, mobster story, and the stakes become world shattering, then it might be too high compared to the subject matter. So if you wanted to go into like a Scorsese movie, and if it's following a gang around, like a mob or something, then you don't really want to bring the stakes to world global level. It's not really what you want to do. So basically, you're taking your genre, and if the genre, depending on the genre and how you want to go with it, uh, you measure your stakes from there. But if the stakes are too high compared to what you set up, then you risk breaking the suspension of disbelief, and that's what you don't want to happen. Let's see. Hey Harper, we could give their story stakes, wooden ones, to the heart preferably. It's possible. It's possible. Anyway, chat. Anyway, so that's one story. Now, that was an example of a more modern story of Goblin Slayer. Now, let's see here. Okay, here's a shot of Lone Wolf and Cub. Let's see if I get this right. There we go. So Lone Wolf and Cub also starts in medias res. It's actually no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Not this one. But actually, it does. Actually, it's just not an action in medias res. It's just it begins with an introduction of our main character, as his flag is the flag he wears on his back is introduced first. Sun for hire, sword for hire, Sui school, Ito Ogami Ito, and we get to see the sun in the sky, setting giving us a setting. It's daytime outside, the baby cart, and we get to see people in the crowd, and then we get to see his son and the baby cart. And without actually seeing the main character, we get to go to a scene. Actually, you know what? This starts off first, so it's kind of difficult with manga, but either way it's a good introduction because this one begins with let's see here. Okay, so this begins with someone explaining to us that they want someone assassinated. Here's 500 Rio, 500 Bro, and he's explaining everything. This is the introduction, and we immediately get a sense that this is we know this is feudal Japan. And going by how they describe things, how they talk about daimyo and hans and ro as a currency, and let's see here, and we get to watch him talk about what happened, what his current circumstances, how he's hiring somebody to assassinate somebody, and then we go over here, and right after that, we can only assume that this is the assassin that he is talking about. So we have the introduction. In the introduction, we have people talking about him, people were referencing him, and then we get to development where these assassins receive a letter. I think these are counter assassins. They're agents. They receive a letter that an assassin, has been sent to go take down the people the lord that they work for, and they're keeping an eye out for him. And they meet him on the road, and immediately attack. So this is, believe it or not, this is still development, chat. It's still development. So we get to see this. The enemy has already. We already know who the enemy is here. But the twist is coming. Twist is coming. We get to see him in action. We're developing the story. We get to see the skills that everyone has, the skills the main character has. And unfortunately, we might be running out of internet gas here. So let me go ahead and it's down. Let's see here. Let's see here. The board enthusiast, and also those establishing shots of the stone, the sun, the cart, giving a sense of quiet, almost like the reader is landing into the universe. Not a rule of thumb, but still good. Yeah, that's what I like about Lone Wolf and Cub. It has excellent ways of introducing things. It has excellent transitions also. It's more like it's the the style of Lone Wolf and Cub. It brings you in slowly. Usually, it's not as heavy-handed as Goblin Slayer was. It just brings you in slowly. It just brings you into the world of Itogami and the world of feudal Japan. Very, very slowly, very gently. It gives you the sun. It gives you all this other stuff too. And if I can get back up, I'll just describe to you what happens. Oh, here we go. Here we go. And see here. The board enthusiast, establishing shots. Still good. Still good. Awesome. Let's see. Go ahead and bring us back up. And now that it has loaded. Okay, so this is still the development. Still the development. So we get to see how he operates, how he works, how skilled he is, how he thinks. Was important development. And he gets captured because it's seemingly they outsmarted him. And this is setting up the twist. So he's supposed to be blind, and they which makes him weak enough to capture. So they can capture him and bring him back to their lord, so he knows who hired him. So he can learn who hired him. And we get to see the circumstances. We get more development here. We get to see how this goes, how kind of enemies he has, and then we start to move into the twist. And he says, "My son has to go to the bathroom." And I take my son to go to the bathroom. I said, "Time me real quick, and I'll explain to you everything." And that's where we get the twist, where he has this weapon hidden in his cart, and he assassinates the Lord. That's where the twist comes in. And the conclusion comes after this. The conclusion comes after he assassinates the Lord, and he has to deal with all of his soldiers. And so he fights them. We're in the conclusion of the story. And his main bodyguard, I think, comes at the end. Let me see here. So he's fighting all these guys. They arrive to stop everything. And see here. Well, here at last. And he leaves. He leaves. And at the very end, I think they say something like, we shouldn't let him go because he knows too much. And he goes, fear his wrath, the wrath of the lone wolf and cub assassin, giving us a title why it's called Lone Wolf and Cub, and confirming that he was the assassin, and that we get to see how elaborate his plans are, how very elaborate his plans are. That the whole getting captured thing was part of his plan. He was the one who killed the spy that they had in Edo, and he was the one that wrote the letter in the first place that let his enemies know he was on his way. So that was one part of the big twist. Not just him suddenly having weapons. It's him revealing that it was all him. It was him who was behind everything up until that point. The letter, the getting captured, the pretending to fight back. That was the twist. And then the conclusion was him fighting until the bad guys arrived, or the good guys arrived, or his allies arrived. And that was the end of the story. And they're saying that we should probably not let him go. But letting him go is probably the best idea, because we've already won, and he's an honorable assassin. Let's see here. And see, board enthusiast. I love how manga is fast paced and doesn't waste space and time with dialogue. They want to keep the book in the audience's hands. Exactly. I mean, they know exactly what we want. We don't want fluff. We don't want virtue signaling. We want story with interesting characters and interesting plots and interesting developments. So you got to see how this developed. The introduction is the mysterious man apparently hiring an assassin. We got to see the setting, which is feudal Japan, judging by his clothes and what he's referring to, Hans and daimyos and the currency of Ro. And we get to see his predicament that he needs an assassin for desperate means. Then we get to see the assassin. We're not really necessarily see the assassin. We get to see everything around him, how people react to him, and how powerful he is just by being there. And then we get to see him actually in action against the enemy. And then he allows himself to be caught. And the twist comes in when he reveals that he was actually behind everything, that he was behind the letter being sent to the enemy, and that he was the one who allowed them to realize and to identify him. and he allowed himself to be captured. That was part of the plan, so that he can get inside the walls, assassinate the Lord. And the conclusion comes in when he's dealing with the leftover soldiers, and his allies arrive, concluding the story, and he walks off into the sunset. So there's your Kisho Tenketsu formula right there. Everything leading up to the twist, and then the twist kind of dying down afterwards, or the story kind of dying down after the twist. Let's see here. Hex Harper, Samurai Jack episode "Jack and the Baby" was the best tribute to the series. I think so too. I think so too. Also, there were a few references to Lone Wolf and Cub in Samurai Jack. There's one part where he remembers when he was a kid, uh, where Ito Ogami actually shows up in the show. With a baby cart and everything, and he encounters about a 3 or 4 assassins, and Itogami kills them all, and he just moves on his way. He fights them on the bridge. It's really really interesting, really interesting. Also, there's a call out to Yojimbo at Samurai movie. Really interesting stuff. So this is what I wanted to go over. Go over Kisho Tenketsu, how it works, how it functions, and then go over some examples with not with a more modern manga that I like. I think does a good job, and a classic epic that follows the same exact formula that I also think it does a good job. And now, chat. Now we come to the proposition here, and the end of the stream. A little surprise. Here's what we're going to do. So we're going to take the what we have so far, the main character, the setup for the story of our manga that we've put together, the magical school, the main character who's kind of powerless but is able to encounter something, encounter something that kind of sparks his hidden powers, his hidden uh, potential. Then we have his best friend, which is the fox girl, who is going to be I think she's an enchantress or something. But she runs a library. And then we have the Lancer, who is the witch, who resents the main character because who looks probably looks down on the main character at first, and then begins to resent the main character once the main character's powers are revealed. And then we have the shaman, the shaman cat girl from the Beastlands, who is there to mainly try to do good, but she's an evil prankster. So every time she tries to do evil, the opposite happens. She does good. And of course, the priestess, who is in the priesthood, but is a former roguish thief, kind of repenting for her sins, but she's a priestess nonetheless. And she doesn't really like the main character because the main character is kind of some of the mischievous elements of the main characters kind of remind her of her old ways, and she's trying to repent. She's trying to repent. And let's see here, and that's basically it. I think that's where we have it. I believe she's the heart. Yeah, pretty much everything. So what the proposition is, chat, is if you want to participate, you can. You can now. What we can do is what I wanted to do. I wanted to propose. If you want to take all of this information, take all of the infrastructure of Kicho Tenketsu, how it works, how it functions, and take all the elements of the manga that we've written so far, and write your own first episode and see how it goes. And then, if you want to, you can send it. You can email it to me, and we'll cover it on the stream, and we'll see how it goes. And we'll cover several if you want to, as many as I get, and then we'll see. We'll see how that goes from there. Let's see here. The board enthusiast, can you put a summary of our story in Google Doc? We can all access somewhere. The description, maybe. I could probably do that. I think Flying Turret 28, if you would like to, I think maybe email me, maybe perhaps some the notes you took. I could do that. Meanwhile, I'll try to see if I can put into the description as far as notes. So if you want to participate, then yeah, that's why I want to go over the infrastructure, go over the notes, and you can change whatever you'd like. Just keep some things the same, some things universal, like it's a magical school, and the main character is from a fallen noble family that has a hidden potential of being a sorcerer, which is really rare in this world, and mainly the main characters that we've come up with, so that that part can be more or less universal. Let's see here. appears, or you want a script, or it could be storyboard work. It could be in any style you want it to be. So it can be prose. You can make a short story if you want to. It could be storyboard. It could be a script. So any format that you feel comfortable with, as long as it follows the Kisho Tenketsu format, the Kisho Tenketsu style, and has at least some of the main stuff that we have that we come up with together. Let's see here. Okay, okay. Let's see here. Hex Harper, I remember the stream talking about the first episode, trying to get to school on time and having a fight a monster. Yeah, that's what we came up with together. But you don't have to you don't have to adhere to that one. You don't have to make it the same. Do whatever you want as long as you keep with the guidelines of Kisho Tenketsu and the main elements that we have. You know, the main elements of the main character, the main elements of the magical school in the world. So you can make up anything else you want to. The culture, the how people react to other people, these even the teachers if you want to. The rest is up for you to decide. The rest is up for you to decide, chat. And I'll put up some notes in the description after the stream is done. Okay. And we'll take it from there. We'll take it from there. Okay, chat? Sound good? If you want, again, if you don't want to participate, that's fine. If you do want to participate and you want the story to be shown on stream and we go over it together, then go ahead and email me. And if we have enough sent in by next Friday, then that's what we shall do. We'll go over all of them next Friday, and I will put the notes in the description so that you can all reference it and if you have any questions. So, other than that, I think that's it. Hope you had fun on the stream. Hope you found it interesting. Hope you found it at least helpful. And I look forward to seeing what you have in store. And you basically, yeah, just whatever I put in the notes, I try to follow that. Put in the description, the notes I put in the description. Try to follow those notes. Other than that, though, you're free to make changes, technological changes, society changes, anything else you want. Anything else you want. So, by next Friday, we'll see if we have enough. And other than that, we shall do what we can do. And see here. I put my notes in chat. If you can put them in the description or something, yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that. So, if you're looking for notes, I'll put the notes that we've come up with together in the description of the chat. I mean, of the video, the stream, so you can just come back to this stream and reference things as you will. So thank you very much for joining me, chat. I look forward to seeing what you have in store next Friday. If you don't have time to do a whole Kisho Tenketsu, then at the very least, see if you can do a introduction and development, and then we'll have if possible, if need be, we'll leave it another week for the twist and conclusion of your stories. And but so if you can't do the whole thing, if you don't have time to do the whole thing, which is understandable, then see if you can get at least a good introduction and a good development going, and then you can have an additional week to do the twist and conclusion. So awesome. Thank you very much for joining me, everyone. Thank you very much for your patience, even though I had the computer locked up for a little while and the internet gas ran out. But other than that, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you had a good time. Hope you had an interesting time at the very least. Now look forward to next Friday. And by the way, send the email to literaturedevil@protonmail.com. I'll get it there. Awesome. All right. So have a good night, everyone, and I will see you all next time.